We all know the frustration of buying a pair of shoes that look great on a screen, only to find the soles peeling off 6 months later. We tolerate it as a feature of the modern economy. Products are built to break down, so you have to buy them again. But what happens if you actually build something to last a lifetime? Over a century ago, the Nobel Prize-winning author John Galsworthy wrote a short story called Quality. It maps out exactly how the economic pressures of mass production would eventually kill off things built to last. His story centers on a German immigrant named Mr. Gessler. He and his brother run a small, traditional shoemaking shop tucked away in a fashionable part of West End London. Entering Gessler's shop feels more like stepping into a church than a retail store. There are no flashy window displays, no massive signs. He doesn't advertise at all. He makes exactly what his customers order, and nothing else. Gessler views bootmaking with a reverence usually reserved for the high arts. He works exclusively with premium gold-brown leather, and his custom fits possess a durability that borders on the mysterious. The narrator of the story is in awe of the boots he receives. They are objectively flawless. Yet, despite having a perfect product and entirely satisfied customers, Gessler's business is on the brink of collapse. The problem lies in the basic math of his business. Gessler works entirely by himself, by hand, and uses highly expensive materials. The process is incredibly slow, keeping his profit margins permanently thin. This chart illustrates his biggest economic hurdle. As the lifespan of Gessler's perfectly stitched boots goes up, the customer return rate plummets. In the world of retail, if a customer never needs to replace their shoes, your recurring revenue vanishes. While Gessler meticulously shapes individual soles, a new competitor emerges across London: large manufacturing firms. These factories operate on completely different rules. They prioritize speed and sheer volume over craftsmanship, utilizing heavy machinery and cheaper materials to flood the market with affordable, readily available shoes. The narrator realizes the stark difference one afternoon when he absent-mindedly walks into Gessler's shop wearing a pair of boots he bought in an emergency from one of these large firms. Without looking, Gessler presses a single finger on exactly the spot where the left shoe pinches. He knows instantly they are mass-produced. This prompts the only time Gessler ever complains. He explains that these massive companies don't get their customers by making a good product. They get them through relentless advertising. They capture the public's attention, and eventually the craftsman's orders dry up. The market speaks clearly. Customers begin choosing the immediate gratification and constant marketing of factory-made shoes over the patience required for Gessler's bespoke work. The financial strain takes an immediate toll. Gessler's elder brother, unable to cope with the stress and the loss of their life's work, passes away. Left entirely alone, the younger Gessler absorbs the workload. He attempts to single-handedly outwork the rising tide of industrial factories, laboring day and night without raising his prices. The narrator goes abroad, and when he returns to the shop years later, the change is shocking. He left a healthy man of 60. He returns to find a pinched, exhausted figure who looks 75, struggling to even recognize his old customer. Gessler's rapid physical decline is the localized human result of an industry being squeezed out. He has become a specific casualty of an economic shift that increasingly values the speed of the machine over the skill of the man. Seeing Gessler in this state, the narrator is compelled to help. He immediately orders boots of every shape and style, hoping to inject enough cash into the shop to keep it afloat. The boots arrive weeks later, but they are superior to anything he has produced before. The narrator notes their extraordinary finish and the precise quality of the leather, as if Gessler poured every remaining ounce of his skill into their construction. The narrator rushes down with a check to pay and congratulate him, but when he arrives at the shop, the Gessler brothers sign is missing. Inside stands a young Englishman representing a new, modern firm. The young man explains that Gessler starved. He had spent every penny on rent and raw materials, neglecting to eat so he could spend his final days and nights bent over his last pairs of boots. He made good boots, but he failed at making a living. His dedication to an uncompromising standard of quality became a fatal obsession in a market that no longer valued the time required to achieve it. Galsworthy's century-old story leaves us with a sharp reality check. When a society prioritizes cheap convenience and flashy marketing, true craftsmanship cannot survive. It forces us to look at the things we buy today and ask, are we actually paying for the quality of the product or just the cost of the advertisement?